children to be a monk or nun or whatever. So therefore, there's a lot of this request and demand. So we just, within our capacity, we accept a little bit
Right.
a year.
I see.
Yeah. So once we accept, then we give them education. We also give them the food, clothing, lodging, everything. So it's all taken care by us.
And
So we just get some help from others overseas and all this. So there are some contributions towards me or towards this temple that we use to funding of this. That is how these things is moving.
And how long? So the girls are educated, and then.
Yeah.
So how many years is that? I mean,
Right now we just start, so
Yes.
we don't know exactly, but
okay.
basically we have a few nuns who are already trained in India,
Right.
those bigger monasteries, so they can be a teacher right now. So they are training junior one. It may take many years, it may take 5, 6, 7 years to master all the rituals and prayers and practice and so on. So once they are mastered, then they will teach to another junior.
Right.
So in that way, it just
Regenerates.
keep going on. But once they become a nun, means more or less they are permanently stay here.
Right.
They don't go elsewhere.
Right.
Unless we send certain missions to outside, then that they can go. Or sometimes they go to see their parents, meet their family peoples. That is allowed. But it becomes like their hometown. So there's nothing. They just devoted their whole life to their Buddhism practice. And, that is the life of the monastery for the monks and for the nuns. They have no family. Not much ambitions. Contented.
Yes. What do you call this? What do you call monastery?
Monasteries.
Yes. Like this for girls in Nepal?
Comparably, the monastery for the monks are more than the monastery for the nuns.
Yes.
But there are some in Kathmandu also, some in Pokhara, also in every part of Nepal there are.
Right.
But then they are not so active as the monks monastery. It's due to the, I think, lack of funds and lack of teachers and so on.
Right.
So it's not that active.
Yes.
Yeah. But then it is growing up now. It seems growing up. It's improving now. But in this area, the Muktinath area, most of the temples are nunnery. It's nuns. There's no monks temple here.
Right.
Yeah. But below a bit, there are some temples. They are monks temple.
Right.
Yeah. Because monks temple and nuns temple is always, they are separate. They are not together.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because these the girls start at 10 years old. I was wondering if older women want to become nuns, and is there a place?
Yeah. No, as we say, there's no much place. So those like 10 years old, they ask for us to be a nun is for during the starting time.
Yes.
During the starting time, we don't have any nuns. We have only 3 nuns that is trained in India and just came here. So that time, then there's a lot of requests came in. So some of them are 10 years old, some of them are 20 years old.
Oh, right.
Various age.
I
So
see.
they So we just accept a number of them, around 20 of them we accept,
Right.
because that is the starting.
Yes.
But subsequently, this request has been increased tremendously, like every time when I visit,
Yes.
there are 30, 40 family people came here and request me to their child to be a nun and so on. So I can't accept all.
No.
Yeah, it's not within my capacity. You know.
Yes. Yes.
So then we just write down the name, and every year we accept just a few. But basically, of course, they are very young age, 10 years old. They
Yes.
can't think of much. But then, yet, when they see some kind of temple and movement of the nuns and so on, they have some kind of eager to become a nun. They themselves are some eager to become a nun. And some of the child keep on pestering their parents, you know, that they want to become a nun. The parents, until they have to bring over here and request us. So most of these cases like that. Yeah, that's how we accept. Yeah, but then in our when they grow up, 20, 30 years old, whatever, you know, when they see more world and so on, it's up to them. If they want to be a nun, stay continuously to practice, then that is good. But once a while, maybe out of 100, maybe 1 or 2, they don't want to be a nun, and they can become a lay person, which they also can. So it is not kind of we control, but it's their own willingness. Yeah, but the more you learn Buddhism, the more you learn teachings and practice, your mind will be more firm to be a practitioner rather than a lay person. So that is the way it trains themselves, and they remain for the rest of the life. Yeah. So like any monastery and nunneries and so on, there are very few cases that they run out of the temple and become a lay person. There are cases, but very, very few. Yeah. Yeah, but it is their wish.
Shangpa?
Yes.
And this is traditionally be blessed and wear for your safety, and many prayers and blessings.
Thank you very much. Enlightenment. Is that in order to? Is that the idea, the practice?
Yes, yes. Practice is meant for enlightenment.
What does that mean? Is that really hard?
Yeah, it's a Buddhist practice is mainly on the mental training.
Yes.
So mental training is something that you must know who you are, what you are, you know. So it's kind of knowing the nature of your own mind,
Yes.
knowing the nature of your own essence. You know?
Yes.
So that kind of understanding through the learning, contemplation, and the meditation. So then one day you will be aware. Like one day you will be, you know, fully awakened from this kind of coward or ignorance. So that is the called enlightenment. Yeah. So presently we have a lot of emotions, desire, hatred, ignorance, jealousy, pride, and so on. You know. So these are something that misinterpret the whole phenomenon and the self. So once we eliminate all these defilements, and then we will become more clear in our own nature. So at that moment, then we perceive things in its real essence. So that state of mind is called enlightenment.
Right.
Yeah. So Buddha's teaching is that Buddha's teaching, he himself practiced and contemplate and meditate, and until then, you know, he knows what we see is what it is not. there's something more depth, there's something more difference, of things that can be seen, that can be realized. So finally he has gained that realization, and then he becomes nothing is coward, nothing is ignorant to him. So that state of mind becomes like a universe is self is universe, just like crystal ball in your palm, you can see in every direction is what it is. So that kind of realization is called enlightenment. But this can be explained in many ways. But basically all the Buddhist practice is to realize the mind nature.
And that can be different for different people.
Basically it's all the same, but the method used differently because it suits a different person. Each person has different patterns of emotions.
Yes.
So the training needs to be suit that patterns of mentality, that patterns of mind. We apply different methods.
Right.
Yeah, but eventually it comes to the same. Yeah, because all the emotions actually come from the ignorance. So that is the same. So basically, eventually, every method is to clear this ignorance and to realize the clarity of the mind. Clarity and emptiness, we call it. That is the mind. Because the physical body and mind, they are just interrelated, but they are not one thing. They are different things. So therefore, mind, you cannot be traced. It is emptiness. And yet it is totally, it is not nothing. It has the clarity to perceive. Yeah. So this is called emptiness and the clarity. That is the mind.
Do you think?
It depends. But emotions. That is
being a human being.
Emotions that. Being as a human beings, we have an emotion. That is very normal.
Yes.
And being as a human, we also have all these defilements, prides, and everything we have.
Yes.
But then we don't know the nature of that emotion. We don't know the essence of that. So the emotions will carry us, and then eventually it end up with the sufferings. It end up with a lot of miserables, all these. So that is the due to the ignorance, because you do things, you are not doing things for suffering, to suffer. We do everything that is means for the happiness, but yet it turned out to be a suffering as a result. So this is lack of the wisdom, lack of the clarity. So it is kind of confusion of the emotions that leads us to the suffering. Yeah. So you must know the essence, you must know the nature of that emotion, and then do not grasp. So then things become more different. And less attachment.
Yes.
You have a less attachment, you have a less suffering.
Yes.
I mean, this is a way how to train. Don't take too much. Huh?